Welcome back to Arkansas basketball recap. A little late on this one. Game was late. Got high school basketball games. We got kids playing. Had to go to that. Had to watch it super late. Then I had to work because, you got to pay the bills. So wasn't able to record in the morning. So here we are recording early in the afternoon to recap. I mean, a barn burner of a game. Is it the worst team, like the worst college team I've ever seen? Quite possibly, but Arkansas played them. Old Maryland East Shore, and well, they have beaten two somebodies. They're now 2-7 after this game, so I don't know who they beat, but they did beat two people. But man, they took a beating last night as Arkansas beats them 109-35. And yeah, I mean, look, first thing I want to say before, like, because I felt bad for these guys. I mean, I'm rooting for the Hogs, but there is a point where you're like, I feel bad for you guys. Uh, but then I had to remind myself that that athletic program doesn't exist if they weren't playing these games. And I mean, they're about to go. They have to play UConn like next week or something like that too. So, what is this team out there doing? Hey, man, these poor guys out there have got to go fund the athletic program, dude. And these Arkansas and UConn are writing big fat checks to have them come play them. And that's how come their basketball team exists. And so, you got paid to come in here and really take a beating. And that's what happened. I guess the first thing, and I think there are a couple of good things to take away from this. The first thing is like, hey, you did what you were supposed to do. Like, this is a team you're supposed to obliterate, and you obliterated them. In fact, you obliterated them, and I looked at their other games. Nobody obliterated them like this. This was just nuclear.
I don't know. I don't know if I've seen it. Have I ever seen a team only score what they scored? Did they score 30?
35. It was 109-35. And this is going to sound crazy. It was 109-35, and it wasn't even that close.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen, I mean, you don't see too many 70-point beatdowns.
74 points, dude.
That's what I'm saying. Like you see when a team gets blown out and another team gets hot,
You
even if
get
there's
beat.
a,
Yeah, you get beat by 40, and you're like, God
40 is a
dang.
40 is a lot because and actually, I mean, I don't know really honestly how to think about this game or even what to say about it because, like I said, I mean, it's hard to know. I mean, there's no criticisms. Everybody played well. I mean, Big Z, like, ate all he wanted, even had good post moves when he wanted to do. I mean,
Yeah.
it felt like there was nothing we couldn't do. You know what I mean? And I mean, even shooting. I mean, like the ball was going in from deep. And even if you're shooting wide open, we could have missed some of those. I mean, there's just nothing that we could have done really a whole lot better. So, but at the same time, with that level of competition, it's hard to know how to understand what you were looking at.
Yeah, well, according to,
Um,
according to Ken Palm, which is
so,
like,
so maybe help me with this because you know, I know we don't have a deep rotation, and is it that we're trying to redshirt the couple of freshmen that are on the very end of the bench?
no,
Oh,
no.
how come we didn't put those guys in?
First of all, this is not a good basketball team that we played against. Uh, obviously, but very bad. According to Ken Palm, which doesn't mean a lot right now because there's not enough information. But based on the information that Ken Palm has, uh, there are, I think, I can't remember, like six teams worse than this in all of Division One basketball. I mean, I'm kind of shocked that this was a Division One basketball team, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, uh, yeah, I had to double check. I'm like, is this like a JUCO
Yeah,
team? Like, what are we doing here? This is a Division One basketball team. Apparently, there's six other teams that Ken Palm right now thinks are worse than this team. They're ranked 350 something out of 360 something teams in Division One basketball. I feel like, and I know it's hard to gauge, but I feel like I've played with basketball players that play at the Division II level that this team should go out there and recruit ASAP. But that's whatever. Um, the the thing with the bench is that no, he's not going to be redshirting any of those guys. I mean, the only one of those other guys that's like really um like a freshman. So the guy that went in first, so Chavez or Chavez, or however you say his name, like so that's a freshman, that's a 4-star recruit. Came in here knowing he wasn't going to play a lot. Decommitted from Washington, I think. I mean, he was like recruited by Washington and committed, and then decommitted and came over here. He's sort of like the next guy, and he was the guy that went in there first, and then all these other guys are guys that transferred in, that understood that they were just going to be playing roles, and like they're guys that are there for practice, and guys that want to be coaches someday, that kind of stuff. And I think that like maybe if the season was going differently, like he might have emptied that bench like with 10 minutes left in the game instead of with 3 minutes left in the game or whatever he did. Uh, but I think that what he was doing, and this is the one positive thing I think out of this game, besides just like getting a win or whatever, is um, there's a couple of guys, I think Nelly Davis and Carter Knox, that needed to see the ball go in the hole. And I don't think it matters that much who it's against. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
they need to, and Nelly Davis, he makes 4 threes in this game, and like we needed him. It's really good that he had that game. I mean, he only had 16 points. No one like blew it up because everyone's in double figures. They just share. I mean, Boogie Flan could have had 40 points in this game if he had cared about shooting. He didn't. He took 7 shots. Like he was out there, just distributing and doing whatever he wants. But I think Carter Knox, man, that guy just needed to see the ball go in, and he actually ends up leading us in scoring with 21 points. He hits 3 threes, was making other shots. He was feeling good, and Nelly Davis seems like his shot looked good. He was like getting that stroke, and I think he was just going to let them do that so that they could get he needed that confidence built up, and he needed these guys, and the ball was going in, and so I think he's like, I'm gonna let that ball go in until the end. um I think that's probably what it was, is more than anything, is that I
I
need,
know, but
especially for
I was
those
worried about
guys.
with like 10 minutes to go. I was like, why are all the starters still out there? I
Yeah,
was like afraid somebody's
you're
gonna get
roll
hurt.
yeah, you're rolling the dice to make sure no one gets hurt or whatever. But yeah, so I do want to say like that, like this doesn't mean Arkansas is awesome or anything like that. This is what they were supposed to do. Now, uh, doing this is still hard to do. I mean, like I said, nobody else has done this to this team. Maybe UConn will. Vanderbilt beat them, and Vanderbilt beat them by 39 or something like that. But it wasn't like this. Um, Part of that is that, also according to Ken Palm, I mean, Arkansas, according to Ken Palm, is like the sixth best defensive team in the country.
Mm.
Like if you're just looking at points allowed, turning teams over, the all shot, field goal percentage, they take all this stuff into consideration. And again, it's early, and this will change, but right now, uh, Arkansas is a pretty good defense team, and you saw it. Like I do think this is true, and this doesn't apply to most SEC teams because most SEC teams have good guards. But if you don't, I mean, it's going to be a nightmare for you, because I'll tell you, one of the things that has been definitely a pleasant surprise is like, one, this isn't a surprise, but DJ Wagner is going to play good perimeter defense. Nelly Davis is big, physical, 5th-year senior, smart, and he is going to turn you over. And he's not like crazy fast or anything, but that dude's played a lot of basketball, and he knows how to guard a guard, and he's also, he gets his nose in there. You're gonna try to make some move, and he's gonna be the guy that comes around and strips it from the other side and that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you what, dude, Boogie Fland will pick your pocket. If you better be like paying attention. I don't know if you noticed, but like when he's playing defense, his hands are so low to the ground. Like he is like basically like almost touching the floor. Like he's in such a defensive stance and just popping up, dude. And you better have that ball on a string, or he is gonna poke it. And then that like when all he has to do is just poke it, because he's gonna beat you to it. Because he's
Well,
that
definitely
burst is
if you're facing the wrong way, you don't have any chance of getting turned around before he,
no, he's just
facing the
too
right
fat,
direction gets it.
just too quick. And so I think that's what contributed to like this kind of blowout. I mean, they just the open floor points, the turnover, like our defensive pressure on the perimeter. This that team was not built to handle that, and they just couldn't do anything. I mean, we wouldn't let them get into anything. They turned the ball over all over the place, and that is one of the encouraging things about this team as they try to figure some things out offensively is that they look pretty good defensively. I know we don't have that banger guy in there to deal with another big post, but one way that that say you're playing a team and they have a big post, and this is even true for like high school basketball and stuff. If a team has like a dominant post, you can do this one of two ways. You can say, I'm going to combat that with my big post. But what if you don't have that? Like, what if you don't really, like, they're like, yeah, but they're going to win. Or you just don't have the equivalent. Like, I'm going to try to put my best guy out there to do it, but he's probably going to lose that battle more than he wins it. The other way that you combat it is with ball pressure, where you say, like, well, that big guy can't score if I don't ever let you let him get, if you can't get him the ball. Like if I don't ever
Mhm.
let you get into your offense, if I'm just like if I'm just disrupting all your stuff, I think Arkansas is going to be able to do that pretty well, man. And so like, yes, you got to get Jonas back, and that's going to help you with that for sure. But the fact that they don't have him and they're still being able to play that defense really is a testament to one, Big Z's rim protection is good, and two, just our guards don't let you get into whatever it is that you're trying to get into. Like they're good at denying that, and that was on full display. The other thing that was really good was, dude, we just needed Nelly. We need Nelly to. I think this is a way different role. I think the announcers were talking about this. Like he is used to having the ball in his hands a ton, being the guy. I mean, that he was the dude on Florida Atlantic. Average 18 points a game. Went to the Final Four. I mean, this is a good basketball player, man. Uh, this is a different role for him. He's got different kinds of athletes around him over here, and Boogie Flan's going to have the ball in his hands. Like his, by the way, because despite what all the national critics said, uh, I got Alexa talking to me. Uh, despite the fact what all the national guys have said, or some of them said, not all, Boogie Flan can play point guard. And I mean,
People saying, are people saying he can't?
well, it's just always Arkansas doesn't have a point guard. They don't have a true point guard. Flan's wired to score and all this stuff. Last game he had 7 assists. This game he had 6 assists, no turnovers. Last game 7 assists, no turnovers. I'm sorry, dude. Like that dude could play point guard, and he's gonna have the ball in his hands. And I think Nelly, to his credit, he doesn't seem upset about playing this different role. And he knows that what he needs to be is a guy that you just gotta guard. I mean, he's a 40+% 3-point shooter. That's what we need him to do. We need him to be a dude that is gonna knock down shots. He's a great rebounding guard. I think Nelly Davis had 5 rebounds. I mean, he averaged like 6 rebounds a game. That's a lot for an off guard. He's gonna rebound, gonna play defense, knock down open shots, finish in transition. And I think you saw a little, like he had an opportunity to do some of that. Like maybe that wrist is feeling a little better. Ball's going through. You know how it is with shooters like that, dude. Like I was glad to see the ball go down for him. Be like, yeah, dude. Like if you can be that guy for us, it's gonna help a lot.
Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, I was kind of surprised that they left those guys in that long just because I was afraid somebody might get injured.
Mhm.
And, but, there's nothing bad to say. Everybody looked great. Everybody, you know, shot well, played defense
Dude,
well.
we
Did
made
my
15 threes.
do what?
We made 15 threes that game.
My I've got a bad cord or something. I mean, I guess there's not a lot to say about this game anyway, but I think I'm sorry if this is unlistenable, but my microphone keeps jumping from I think the computer microphone to my speaker, and it's like every time I can hear you, but every time I talk, it tries to go to some other default thing. Can you? I hope that's not messing with the
No,
sound
I think
when
it's
it comes.
fine.
Anyway, but I guess we'll make this a little short anyway. I mean, this is another one of those like Illinois. The season starts on Thanksgiving, sort of, as far as like being able to analyze anything, unless you want to. Which, like I said, this never really works. But we do have a weird direct juxtaposition where it happens to be the case that Illinois, I guess last night, played Little Rock, and
Destroyed
um,
them.
and they've already played uh, the team we played last night. So, and they beat Little Rock way worse than we did, and didn't seem to struggle with them at all. And we beat this team, I mean, worse than probably anyone in the history of basketball ever has beat anybody. But so I don't know what you can exactly take from that. I feel like Illinois is in a similar place with us where they're like, um, not sure what they've got yet. You know, they've had a loss against a good team, and um, but they've had some dominating wins against mediocre or suspect competition. So it's difficult for to I think Thursday both schools are going to be watching with bated breath to see, are we, do we match up against teams that are decent? Because the we've each only had like two decent I mean, we've each had one decent team that we played against and came up wanting in both of those. I mean, and neither one of them were like, we didn't we it's not a no shame in losing to Baylor, who's better than you. And but if you had your druthers, you'd like to uh, win that game, especially if you plan on going deep. But I do think, I mean, hopefully we can take something from this game and it does translate. I don't know that it will, but hopefully, like you said, I mean, even it's hard to know what when you're watching a game that's that big a blowout, but it did feel like the rhythm was way better. And now maybe that's just because everybody was faster than everybody and they could get whatever they wanted. Probably, obviously, some of it's that, but there definitely was the ball movement, the fluidity. That's what you hope to see. Whether or not that is able to be sustained against, tougher defensive competition, we'll see. Hopefully, even if some of that translates to Thursday, it'll be, a good to see.
Yeah, and well, and I think too, like the I mean, you're making shots. They were open for a lot of those shots, but you still have to make them. And there is something that is good for guys' psyche to see the ball go through the hole, right? And like especially when you're shooting. Now, you're getting downhill and getting to the basket and this kind of stuff. That it seems like they can kind of do that at will, and you're not gonna be able to do that against better teams. But shooting open shots is shooting open shots, and if you can get the open shots, it was good that they made them. You can easily, like you said earlier, I mean, you can easily miss a bunch of those too, and they didn't. And I'm from the this from the beginning of the season to now, I will say I haven't seen Jonas. Still like concerned about the post defense and having like a real post option. What I'm not, I am much less concerned about the ability to shoot the ball from outside. I think we have guys that can do that. I mean, Big Z is shooting like 58% from three or some crap like this year. So, but like, I think I think what's definitely true, you can't leave him out there. Like that's not like some kind of fluky thing, right? I mean, like he'll torch you if you just leave him standing out there.
Yeah, and I actually think that, we haven't seen it yet, but because he obviously is a little slower and is likely to be the guy under the basket much of the time, especially on defense, and then he pulls down a rebound and chucks it ahead, that trailing big man that like lumbers up the floor, but then like the other big man's got to stay out there. And if he doesn't, then you've got a trailing 3-point shooter who doesn't need any room
Mhm.
because he can shoot it from 9 foot off the ground.
He also shot.
And
He also shot one of those from
I
like.
do think that's going to help drag the big man out, especially in transition, where you have to like a lot of times when it's like, oh, big man's lagging behind. Like now I can go frustrate the guys for a couple of seconds at least, like get into some passing lane, double team the ball. It's like you better don't when Big Z's like trailing, because if you do, he's just going to walk into a three at the top of the key, which he likes to do. And I think that's going to open up some of the, lanes for our drivers, which our guys love to do, especially in transition. And I also really am interested to see what it looks like to have Big Z floating on the outside perimeter with a big man, down low trying to work, which we haven't seen yet. And I do think that it is going to be helpful to be able to pull the mid-sized power forward type guy that might be having to play Big Z if we have our other center in there, and not let that guy be. I mean, if Big Z's standing in the corner, that's going to be annoying for those guys to not be able to help. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think he can help. Yeah, that's the thing is he's proven that he's going to shoot that at a pretty good clip. I mean, you're going to have to be out there defending it. And so, yeah, I mean, and like I said, Wagner shot well, Boogie shot well, Nelly shot well, Knox shot well. It's like, yeah, guys that can make shots. Like we're going to be able to shoot. We're going to be able to have enough perimeter offense, I think, to be just fine. And so it's really just a matter of, hey, man, can we get a kind of true back to the basket and and a post that'll body you up. Can we get that back? And then I mean, the pieces are there. I mean, this team's not suffering from lack of talent.
Yep. I mean, we'll see. Thursday will it'll be fun. We'll hopefully look for if you're bored and sitting around fat and tryptophaned out. We're gonna try to get a video out late on Thursday. So either Thursday or Friday morning. Check it out.
Yeah,
We'll see. That'll be kind of the first legitimate. I mean, Baylor was too, obviously, but Baylor was so early that it's just hard to know,
yeah,
like those guys now they've been together enough, they've practiced enough, a couple of games in, people are starting to get each other's, styles down and stuff. It's like I feel like we're gonna know something, not everything, but it's gonna be interesting to see how we play now after a
yeah,
few games under your belt. And it's nice that it falls on a day when everybody will be fat and happy and
yeah,
chillaxing, and it'll be a mainstream big game. So that'll be
yeah.
fun.
By the way, I'm gonna go ahead and predict this. We have to do. We have to figure this out many years from now. But I'm gonna go ahead and predict that Billy Richmond is a 4 year, potentially a 4 year guy that Arkansas fans by the end of that are gonna love.
Hmm.
That's what I think. Like a guy that's gonna have played just thousands of minutes of basketball if he doesn't transfer out or something like that. But he's a guy that I mean, he's talented enough. I mean, he could develop into a pro player, and I think I'm sure that's his plan. But he's not going to go one and done that kind of thing. He's going to work. He's got to work at it. Uh, but that motor, that just I get he just every once in a while you see a guy and you're like, man, if you stick around here for 4 years, dude, by the end of that, you're gonna be like a guy that Razorback fans just freaking adore. Like, I can see it. I don't know if you get that impression as well, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I hope he is, because if he is, that means things are going okay at least. If he's not, it either means he got so good that he left, or things got unstable enough that he transferred.
yeah,
So, I mean, I suppose there's a version where we do well and Cal has so many good players that a guy of that caliber can't even touch the floor, which I mean, I don't really see that happening.
no,
But I mean, because he's good enough that I mean, you'd have to have all the good players. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I hope that's the way it works out, because to me that bodes well for the future.
yeah. I agree. All right, man. Well, we'll leave it there. We'll be back Thanksgiving night and breaking down one with a lot more implications than this one. Either way it goes. I'll see you then, man.
All right. Sorry about if there was any sound weirdness. I was in and out with my headphones and speakers, and it was a little confusing. Sorry
It's
about
but
that, guys.
it's just mostly
I
me
know that, I
talk.
mean,
It's mostly me
shocking with
talking.
this amazing setup. Like, I
I
thought I could
just
have any trouble.
correct.
So,
All right. Well, we will leave it there, and yeah, we'll be back on Thursday. See you guys then. See ya.
all right. See ya.